Fellas, we are actually prepping right now for Season 21, narrowing down the best builds for next season, of which we're going to be testing immediately day 1 next week over on our Twitch. With that being said though, we gotta talk about Titans. We've already covered Warlocks, but Titans have had some major changes announced and some exotics that got buffed that I never thought would be possible. Starting with Point Contact Cannon Brace. Dude, who would have thought? The change, though, that Bungie is making to this exotic, which was arguably one of the worst exotics in the game, was that lightning strikes will now jolt targets. They're also increasing PvE damage per bolt from 50 to 200, and being amplified now increases the damage of the lightning strikes by 50% instead of extending their range. Now, it keeps the original benefits of restoring melee energy by defeating targets with Thunderclap melee ability. Now, first up, keep in mind, guys, this exotic, we did an entire rankings list, and this was like the lowest of the low, and for good reason. It was shined, but it's receiving massive changes here, and I do believe it is going to be meta next season. First off, touching on lightning strikes causing jolt. That's going to be huge. That also means it's going to be able to stun overload champions. So this exotic opens up another avenue for Titans to have more anti-champion capabilities. Now, the lightning strikes themselves form around you when you are using your Thunderclap melee, and these lightning strikes are going to affect targets near you. Now, jolt has also been very strong, one of our favorite subclass verbs for ad clearing. It can easily wipe groups of ads, so this exotic gets the ad clear functionality added to it as well. Now, jolt unfortunately is getting a nerf inside of PvE, with its base damage being reduced by 15%, and its additional damage scalar versus major combatants is also being reduced by 20%. With that being said, I don't think that's going to kill jolt, or even arc builds for that matter. It's still good, and what's going to make up for that is the lightning strike damage here. They are getting their PvE damage increase from 50 to now 200. Guys, this is a massive buff to those lightning strikes. Now, the original lightning strike damage is one of the main reasons this exotic felt so underwhelming, as when using it, sometimes you could barely even tell the difference, making Point Contact Cannon Brace feel like practically a waste of an exotic. And it was. Additionally, when amplified, this is going to increase the damage from your lightning strikes by 50% instead of just increasing the range. And there's so many ways to become amplified on your arc subclass that literally chaining this is going to be no problem. All you need to do is just get rapid arc kills and boom, you're amplified. Additionally, if you're running things like knockouts and get a single melee kill, this will cause you to be amplified and of course start health regeneration as well. Now, here's how we envision the gameplay loop. You start off getting a few kills with your arc weapon or even your grenade. This will cause you to become amplified. You find the next group of enemies, charge up your Thunderclap, and go ham with an extra 50% damage bonus from being amplified. On top of that, the flat buff doing extra damage already. Now, any enemies you may have missed from your Thunderclap itself will get jolted from the lightning strikes near you, taking them out as well. Now, once your melee is used up, it should be pretty simple to get back again pretty quickly. Point Contact Cannon Brace will restore some melee energy by defeating targets, and you may want to even consider running something like an arc weapon with Pugilist, which can grant melee ability energy from kills. And then we have a number of different armor mods to assist with this as well. This is our build card that we're going to be utilizing next season, guys. Feel free to take this build down if you like, but things like melee kickstart, momentum transfer, heavy-handed. Again, this is just a very brief breakdown of a build we're going to be using on day 1. I hope it's going to be good. I feel like it is going to be good. And if we get Arc Surge next season, which I think we will, this is going to be disgusting. Next, we have no backup plans. Again, another exotic no one was talking about. The change to this is a complete rework, replacing the old functionality entirely. It now provides a moderate benefit to the airborne effectiveness and reload speed of shotguns. Now, while you have a void overshield, your shotguns will deal additional damage, and shotgun final blows will refresh your overshield. Now, while using a void subclass, rapid shotgun final blows or defeating a powerful enemy with a shotgun grants you a void overshield and kicks off your health regeneration. Now, this is a complete rework, guys, and let me just say, no backup plan was right down there, almost as shite as Point Contact Cannon Brace. Now, keep in mind, I still like this exotic even before, primarily because it was a Destiny 1 exotic, but it required you to use a shotgun, and for the most part, especially in PvE, no one was really using shotguns. But I said it the other day when we were talking about the exotic changes, that this change to no backup plans is meta defining, and we start combining it with certain shotguns, the likes of maybe even Acreus, you can see how deadly things can get. But I do want to touch on the PvP side of things first though, because that is going to be good as well. This exotic is still going to give you a moderate benefit to airborne effectiveness, which according to IGG is a plus 30 to your AE stat on shotguns. Now the next part, when you have a void overshield, your shotguns deal additional damage, and shotgun final blows refreshes your overshield. Raise your hand if you've seen a Titan pop their barricade before every engagement with Bastion to get an overshield. Have you been annoyed? Well, now his shotgun's gonna do more damage. Sounds like a fantastic time, right? On top of that, Bastion is getting a buff itself, going from holding 1 fragment to now 2 fragment slots. Yeah, you just thought you were getting out of a Titan meta. Every engagement is going to result in a Titan popping his barricade, rocking max resilience, giving yourself an overshield with Bastion, and then pushing your shit in with the shotgun that's now doing extra damage. Oh, and he has an overshield, which will refresh upon getting a kill. Welcome to Season 21, baby. Now, in terms of the additional damage, we're not really sure how much, and we're going to be testing this ourselves with a variety of different shotguns. Chaperone, Lord of Wolves, Matador, a couple other legendary options. We're going to see if this actually moves the needle in terms of kill range and how much of a buff this actually is PvP versus PvE. Most of the exotics Bungie mentioned in the blog post talked about a tier 4 non-stacking damage buff, and they split the damage pretty heavily here. 25% in PvE, but a 6% buff in PvP. There was no mention though of no backup plans, so it may even be a lower damage buff than even that. The fact of the matter is, it doesn't really matter how much of a damage buff is given to shotguns. You're going to be able to refresh your overshield after getting a shotgun kill. So you're literally being rewarded for starting every engagement out, popping your barricade, giving yourself an overshield. And if you're rocking things like Reaper, now you're going to go in there, get a kill, drop an orb, and use that for whatever. Maybe health bumps, maybe feed into some surge mods. I think you get the picture, guys. Now, in terms of PvE, there is definitely a play to be made with this exotic. And let me just say, this may be the exotic that makes shotguns usable inside of PvE. Now, 2 exotics that I'm really going to be looking at to be pairing here with no backup plans. Number 1, Legend of Acreus. Primarily because Legend of Acreus has Trench Barrel as its catalyst, so you're going to be amplifying that damage even more. Very, very good. I know it's a heavy weapon, but it's a chunker. And personally, I need to go check some things out because back in the day, you could reload cancel. Similar like Quicksilver Storm in its grenade launcher form, if you spam fire and reload, this increases your DPS. Regardless though, the fact that it has Trench Barrel, tack that on with the extra damage here that no backup plans is going to give you, and whether we have Arc Surge or overcharged shotguns, Acreus is going to be putting in work. Now, as excited as I am about that combination, the other shotgun that's probably going to be the winner here is Conditional Finality. Fellas, if you have not checked out a review for Conditional Finality, please do. This exotic is well worth you running the raid. It is a fantastic weapon, both for PvE and for PvP, but it can freeze targets and it can cause ignitions. And if this scales with the damage buff here from no backup plans, this is going to be disgusting. So again, check out this build card. The only thing that's going to change here for me is just changing the weapons. For PvP, we're going to use Chaperone. For PvE, we're going to use Acreus. And then for PvP and for PvE, we're going to use Conditional Finality. And we're just going to see what works the best here. Regardless though, guys, the changes here to no backup plans look deadly. Now, the final build on our list involves an exotic that only few people use. Second Chance. The change? Your shield throw melee will now weaken enemies, and stunning a barrier champion with your shield throw grants a single full melee charge. Now guys, you're still gonna have the ability to hold 2 melee charges here. There's a lot of great changes coming to Titans next season, but I am looking forward to using Second Chance in a big way. And there are a few people that still use it, even in Grandmaster content. It's already decent. We have a Captain America build, and it's continued to do well. But the ability to refund that shield throw is a fantastic change. Now, after you stun a barrier champion with a shield throw, you instantly refresh that melee, which can allow you to stun them again if necessary. Or maybe there's another barrier champion, so literally just stun all of them. And on top of that, the weaken ability is huge. You're going to be applying a 15% debuff, which is the same as Divinity, by simply throwing a melee that instantly refreshes on stun. You may want to consider running max strength next season, guys. Really. Or in the least, breaking out Monte Carlo, which by the way got a buff of a whopping 25% inside of PvE with the rest of our auto rifles. Dude, you use Monte Carlo, you're literally throwing melee after melee with Second Chance. Now, another great exotic, which we actually already recovered here recently, is Collective Obligation. And it's going to pair very nicely here with Second Chance. And the reason for this is you want to run controlled demolition with Second Chance, and this will make enemies volatile upon hitting a target with a void ability, aka your shield throw. So now you're going to be applying both weaken and volatile, which will allow you to follow up with Collective Obligation ammunition to start leeching. And then if you're running things like suppressor grenades, which of course counters overload champions, now you have all 3 void debuffs on the battlefield. So this gives you the opportunity to use collective obligation to pretty much suck up all these void debuffs and then further spread them to other enemies. I know in the past, and even here recently, our collective obligation build has been centered around Gerfalcons, which is going to be great next season once our void artifact mods go away. However, collective obligation can be utilized on a lot of other subclasses, and it's going to be able to be utilized here with Titans and Second Chance. So this is our build card. Nothing too crazy here, guys. Again, Monte Carlo, collective obligation. Those are the 2 weapons I'm going to be looking at to pair with this exotic. So there you go. Those are the 3 Titan builds that we're going to be looking at immediately upon launch of Season 21. If you have any recommendations from my fellow Titan mains out there, feel free to drop a comment down below recommending a build. Again, we have a Discord where we disclose builds all the time. People are constantly passing links back and forth to each other to try things out. And by the way, I do highly advise, even though we have loadouts in the game, to still utilize DIM. It's such an easy way to just share links. You can load the build up through DIM, apply it, equip it, and then go in the game and save the loadout. Makes things so easy. Well, fellas and ladies, thank you all for coming and watching. And as always,
slap that like button like your mama told you right.